As large groups of migrants continue to pour illegally across the southern border into the U.S., agents are bracing for the expected end of the Title 42 border policy in less than 2 weeks. Bill Maluzhin, live in La Jolla, Texas, with more. Bill.
John, good evening to you. Even with Title 42 still in place right now, the border is still seeing upwards of 7,000 illegal crossings every single day right now, and the groups just seem to keep getting bigger and bigger. Case in point, take a look at this video our team shot in Eagle Pass this morning. In the pre-dawn hours, yet another single massive group of migrants crossing illegally, all at the same time. More than 300 of them. As you can see, almost all of them are single adults, most of them coming in from Colombia, Nicaragua, the Dominican Republic, and Cuba in this sector, turning themselves in because they expect they will be released into the United States rather than removed. An even bigger group yesterday, though. Take a look at this second piece of video, one of the biggest we have ever seen in the Eagle Pass area. This, a single massive group of 650 migrants that crossed late yesterday afternoon on the north side of Eagle Pass. At the exact same time this was happening, another 350 crossed on the other side of town. So our team in Eagle Pass, in a 1 hour span, saw more than 1,000 people cross illegally. Huge drain on Border Patrol resources. And here's what happens as a result of that. Take a look at this third piece of video. We put our drone over this Border Patrol tent facility in Eagle Pass yesterday afternoon. This is where they process these migrants. It's got a capacity of about 1,000. And as you can see, the overflow has already started. Migrants waiting in lines outside to get inside. Border Patrol vans with migrants unable to immediately unload because they are already so overwhelmed inside. And keep in mind, that is with Title 42 still in place right now. Lastly, we'll take you to El Paso, where they're getting hammered as well. This from a contact of ours who shot this video last night showing hundreds of migrants crossing illegally into the city of El Paso last night. You can see some of them walking across the river, then organizing into a single file line. Very nonchalant like. It went into the sundown hours, and you can see they just wait and they file into El Paso waiting to turn themselves in. The El Paso sector has been getting overrun. A CBP source telling Fox News in the last 24 hours alone, that El Paso sector has seen more than 2,600 illegal crossings. Stunning numbers for a single sector in the month of December. And back out here live, keep in mind, when Border Patrol agents have to respond to those huge groups, it pulls agents off the front lines, and that's when those runners are able to get through. Case in point, last month alone, CBP sources tell Fox News more than 73,000 known gotaways slipped into the country without ever being arrested. John?
Yeah, we'll have more of those statistics in just a moment. Bill Maluzhin, live in La Jolla, Texas. Bill, thanks. Texas Republican Congressman Pat Fallon joins us now. Congressman, your party is about to take over the House of Representatives in a few weeks, but it's really the administration that is charged with upholding the law of this country. Is there anything that can change with regard to the border situation if there is still a Joe Biden in the White House?
Well, John, thanks for having me on. And, Joe Biden just said that he was not going to change a thing, and he doesn't have any interest in going to the border. But he's had time to visit Delaware 59 times, John, and he's never been to the border, and he's been in office 700 days. So it's never been worse than it is right now. We have 300,000 border crossings every month when you consider the known gotaways and the folks that have been processed. So it's not a crisis anymore. It's a catastrophe. So what the 25 Republican members of the Texas delegation have done, we unveiled 2 days ago the Texas border plan, which encompasses, is very comprehensive, and it has 40 different pieces of legislation in the package that, if implemented, would severely curtail the amount of illegals we're seeing entering the country.
But again, if you've got a Democrat-led Senate, what are the chances of getting something like that passed into law and signed by a president who says he doesn't want to go to the border?
No, it's certainly very difficult. Things are not. It's a little bit better to have a Republican House, because at least now we're going to have a chamber that will hold him accountable, and there will be a lot of attention. And I know that your network has been showing and reporting honestly. Unfortunately, a lot in the mainstream media have not. But he's not going to get a pass anymore from the House. And if the Senate doesn't want to take it up, Chuck Schumer and the Democrats will be held accountable by the voters come 2024.
It's not just the Republicans in the House who are expressing concern. Your Democrat colleague, Henry Cuellar, had this to say to Neil Cavuto earlier today. Listen.
if you look at Secretary of Mayorkas, he worked under Secretary Jay Johnson, and he learned from him, and he's got a lot of career people that are ready to do the job. The problem is they got to get that green light from the White House. And with all due respect, listening to immigration activists is one thing, but you got to listen to the men and women in green and blue at the border, and especially, you got to listen to the border communities where I live. He's got to listen to them.
Yeah, he suggests that the White House is listening only to the immigration activists who really like open borders, and they're not listening to CBP.
Well, Scott, John, it's absolutely true. I mean, we've had 8 months in a row of over 200,000 illegal border crossings. And on the border where Congressman Cuellar, he represents, we also have Tony Gonzalez, and now Monica de la Cruz just got elected, and Mayra Flores got elected in a special 5 months ago. So what we've seen is the people in Texas, particularly on the border, understand that Joe Biden doesn't care. He doesn't care about us, and he doesn't care about the crisis. So there has been a GOP, a great awakening along the border. Ryan Guillen, a state rep, just switched parties because they're sick of the crime, the cartels, the corruption, and the chaos, John. And something has to be done. And we need leadership. We need a leader that will go to Xi Jinping and ask him about fentanyl and demand that it be stopped being produced in China, because we lost 107,000 Americans last year.
Yeah, well, let's look at some of the numbers. 73,000 border crossings, or gotaways, I should say. 73,000. Those are the people who don't turn themselves in and just wander off into the United States to do who knows what. 73,000 in November, 137,000 since the fiscal year started October 1, and 600,000 total in fiscal year 22. The numbers boggle the mind. And then, yes, you mentioned Xi Jinping and fentanyl. Fentanyl seizures are up 435% in 2022. And again, that's just the stuff that we are catching. Who knows how much more is going undetected, Congressman?
Well, John, we know a lot more is getting in, because 107,000 American deaths to opioid overdoses last year, 80,000 to fentanyl. This is due to fentanyl alone. This is asymmetrical warfare being waged by the Chinese communists. We lost 297 Americans a day during World War II. We're losing 293 a day just to opioid overdoses. So there were 234,000 illegal border crossings in April, which was the worst month on record. That was 1,258% worse than the last April President Trump was in office, only to be eclipsed by the very next month in May, which was 241,000 illegal border crossings. We've seen 5 million illegal border crossings under Joe Biden, and 98 people that were caught were on the terrorist watch list, and 160 countries have been represented by people crossing the border. This is a global crisis. It's an American catastrophe, and something needs to be done.
And the White House doesn't seem inclined to do anything. Texas Republican Congressman Pat Fallon. Congressman, thank you.
Thanks, John.